Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sampson, Jim Jones for Veterans in Politics. Today, our guest is going to be Rebecca L. Norrington, who had a 5-year battle with the Probate Commissioner Sean Tanko. So it's going to be an interesting show. Jim, you have any rants?
No, I will save them for after.
Oh, okay. So, Miss Norrington, tell us about yourself. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. It's an ongoing battle with, he's the current commissioner,
Okay.
probate commissioner in Clark County.
Okay.
So it's been an ongoing battle, and my objectives.
Tell us about you first.
Oh, me?
Yeah, your bio. Born, raised, got 20 kids, 5 husbands. You like to go for early morning strolls.
Born and raised in Los Angeles. Went to Oregon for about 5 years. Lived in the middle of a forest. Now I'm here.
You hunt, shoot? You hunt and shoot?
I learned how to, yes, with my friends Mountain Man and Grizzly.
Okay.
And so, but came to Las Vegas really to fight this battle with Sean Tanko. But I am a fitness instructor for 45 years.
Oh, wow.
I retired from working at the Department of Justice in Los Angeles, Attorney General's office.
Doing what did you do?
Legal secretary.
Okay.
And that's why everything's so orderly.
Yes, yes.
And I also, my side job is I'm an author and a speaker, and I teach about happiness. So my book that I'm writing now is
about
called,
happiness?
That's right, Program for Happiness. So it really
Teach me how to be happy.
Yes.
I don't know how.
Well, you know, the thing is, it is a programming. We were all programmed to have certain beliefs, worrying, living in the past, living in the future, expectations, blaming, comparing. And so what I do is just expose all of those and just share with how you can experience. When I say happiness, it's not about, oh, this happened and now I'm happy. It's really about an inner peace. It's about a contentment. That and the good news is it's a practice skill.
Right.
It's a practice skill, so anyone can do it. So that's who I am under all of this.
Okay.
And
so what brought you here today?
What brought me here today, I have 3 objectives.
Okay.
When I say I'm in an ongoing battle with Sean Tanko, who is currently the probate commissioner in Clark County, I believe that he took advantage of both of my parents. My father was diagnosed with dementia back in 2006. Okay. And my mother at the same time was having issues, and she had a pacemaker put in. And it was just at that time that I was noticing a lot of different behaviors that my mother had. And regardless of my love for my mother, I recognize mental issues, and I have evidence of all of that here. Mm-hmm. So I was concerned when she was having a pacemaker put in, and when she came home that she wanted to take care of my father, Ralph Norrington. And before I go on, let me just give you the cast of characters. There's going to be Ralph Norrington, my father, deceased.
Okay, well, let me stop you.
Yes.
First, can you explain for the viewers and listeners exactly what your interpretation is of what the probate commissioner role is, what they should and should not do? Because we got to get a baseline first.
Well, he was appointed probate commissioner last year. So this was prior, all of this happened prior to his being appointed. So he was an attorney. He's an attorney, probate attorney, wills and estate family planning. And I, to this day, don't know how he was introduced to my mother, Marcelle Norrington. He refuses to give that information. So he's a probate attorney. And
okay, but what is a probate attorney's role? I mean, what is it exactly that they do?
They oversee wills, they oversee trusts, they oversee, especially the elderly, family planning, so that when the parents are deceased, then it's a smooth transition from the deceased to the children.
Okay. You would need a probate attorney if there was a living will or trust in place, correct?
Exactly. He's actually the one that drafts that. Yes.
Okay. And the reason why I'm asking is because a lot of people don't understand what a probate commissioner does and what a probate attorney does. There's a lot of things that people don't understand. So I just wanted a baseline so people understood that you knew.
Perfect. And the commissioner, I don't really know what a commissioner does, but other than it's the same, it's another word for judge. So he oversees the whole department in Clark County now.
Okay.
And while this was happening, while he was alternate commissioner. So when the commissioner who stepped down, who retired last year, he filled in.
Okay.
Yes.
Please continue.
So yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. I love the
No,
question.
I just wanted it to be clarified before we got into
Makes sense. Thank you. So I allege that Sean Tanko took advantage of both my parents at different times. And I have evidence that when I say my mother, Marcelle Norrington, lacked mental capacity, I have evidence of that. And when I said that she was having a pacemaker put in 2006, after her surgery, she said that she wanted to take care of my father. Now, my father was going to adult daycare center at the time. And I said, Mom, you can't take care of him after you just come from surgery. But she insisted. And so it was at that time, and I even have pictures of how the house looked when my father was in adult daycare.
If you have pictures, you could
Yes.
put it up, and Mark will zoom in on you.
Okay, perfect. And so let me just get back to my objectives with this interview, if possible. Just to present evidence that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Marcelle Norrington lacked mental capacity from 2006 until her death in October 2018. She was diagnosed and had surgery in 1990 with an aneurysm. And at that time in 2006, I sent letters because I knew that she wasn't making good decisions, sound decisions. And I sent letters to her doctors, to their social workers, to the family's accountant, just saying that she's making decisions that are affecting the health and the safety of my father. Fast forward, when my mother came home from surgery, I placed my father in one of these temporary assistant living so people would take care of while she was recovering. And at that time, she really didn't like that. She didn't like the fact that I took it upon myself to make that decision. And I believe that's where everything started to unravel with our relationship. So let me just say this. My father started getting physically sick. Now he was not only mentally sick with Alzheimer's, he started getting physically sick. And my mother had him in the bedroom. Now she's at home, and she had him in the back bedroom. And I said, Mom, it was just her. It was just my mother and my father. And I was living in California, but I would come back and forth every month. And I said, he's not doing well in the back bedroom. He's a social person. He's a social guy. He needs stimulation. He needs somebody else to care for him other than you. She wouldn't agree. She insisted on taking care of him by herself. And in 2006, my father got down to 114 pounds. 114 pounds. Finally, she allowed a nurse to come in.
What did he weigh before?
He was 186 pounds.
Okay.
186 pounds. And of course, at that time, we didn't know why he was losing weight. And nurses came in, doctors came in, and they said, he has at the most 2 to 4 weeks left to live. And I believe it's because of the decision to put him in the back bedroom where there's no stimulation. 2 to 4 weeks to live. And they took him away. You can zoom in on this. This is the day the ambulance came to take him away to hospice. They gave him 2 to 4 weeks left to live. And I thought at this picture, this lower picture, was going to be the last time I saw my father. While he was in hospice, because people would come in. Oh, this is the photograph I took. I thought that was going to be my last time seeing my father. And it even anyway.
You could pause for a second.
Yes.
I've dealt with something similar, so it's okay. Just take a deep breath.
Yes. But listen, after he's in hospice and we have nurses coming in and out, this man, Ralph Norrington, was kicked out of hospice for refusing to die. For refusing to die. Have you ever heard of that? Because of all the social interaction with the doctors and the nurses and the social workers, he gained his strength back, and he didn't walk anymore, but he gained his strength back. But it was because of her decision to keep him there. So now I know that she's making decisions that are not healthy for him. And I'll never forget at the time, because he couldn't walk, and my mother had him in therapy. He was at the Regency here in Las Vegas, had him in therapy, trying to walk again. And she says, "Why isn't he walking?" I said, "Mom, he can't walk anymore." But I want to show this picture. Well, let me show this picture. Let me show this one. This, especially zoom in on this bottom picture. This is Ralph Norrington putting mayonnaise on the top of a hamburger bun in 2006. In 2007, he was signing documents from Sean Tanko's office. He was signing legal documents.
So why was he signing documents with the commissioner? He was acting as an attorney then.
Yeah, he was an attorney then. He
became the commissioner over the case. Isn't that
no? So let's scratch the commissioner. The only reason why it's relevant, he was as a commissioner because that's his role right now.
Got it.
At this particular time, he was a Sean Tanko probate attorney, a state family attorney.
Gotcha.
And he told my mother, Marcelle Norrington, have him sign these power of attorney documents. I even have crafts that my father made. 2006. 2007, he's signing legal documents from Sean Tanko's office. And in fact, I have, because of Sean Tanko's direction to Marcelle Norrington, my mother, I have a picture of Ralph Norrington. This was now he's feeling better. This is after he's recovering. He lived another 1.5 years after being in hospice. But you see this yellow pad right here? This yellow pad? This is what's on that yellow pad. Him practicing signing his name.
Okay.
He shouldn't have been signing any legal documents at that time.
Why is he practicing signing his name?
He's practicing signing a name for power of attorney documents from Sean Tanko's office. I have the documents here too. And you can tell by just his signature and him putting the date in the wrong place that he doesn't know what he was signing.
Okay.
Any questions from that?
No, I'm actually, just to be perfectly honest with you, I'm getting a little emotional right now about this subject because I went through something a little bit similar with my dad, the whole hospice thing. So,
okay.
Can you imagine that and then going through this too?
So anyway.
But thank you for that. At least, yes.
Yeah, no, that whole hospice situation can be, it can be pretty daunting. That's why it's so important, though. Okay, I gathered myself up a little bit. That's why it's so important, though, honestly, for people to really think about these end-of-life decisions before it gets to that point.
And not only that, to know and to trust the attorney that is handling all of your estate affairs. That was the biggest problem. Okay. Not
Well, go into that. I mean, that's where that's the direction that I kind of want to go.
Yes.
Because I do apologize to the viewers and listeners, and I apologize to Steve very much for getting emotional about it, but it's a very touchy subject with me. But let's go into that a little bit more about how people can prevent that in the future and understand. Because my whole thing is like, it shouldn't even get to that point. What Steve and I are very big on, well, I'm not going to put words in Steve's mouth, but one of the things we talk about a lot with like family court is like, just if you can get around the courts, do it. So how can people get more prepared for if God forbid, one of their parents, whatever, goes into a hospice situation like that?
Well, the hospice, is this mic still on?
Yeah.
Well, the hospice was just me proving that my mother was not capable of making good decisions.
Right. Okay.
And what happened with her is trusting someone that she didn't know. Again, I don't know how she met Sean Tanko. He refuses to this day to share how he met Marcelle Norrington for whatever reason. But this is what Sean Tanko has done, and I have evidence of all of it. He obtained signatures on legal documents from Ralph Norrington, who is lacking mental capacity. He obtained signatures on legal documents from Marcelle Norrington, who is lacking mental capacity. He drafted a First Amendment in secret to the Norrington Trust, which failed to recognize the original Norrington Trust that was signed by both Marcelle and Ralph Norrington. And I have a document. So this is the original. This was executed in 2005. I know it may be small.
Your necklace is hitting the mic. Sorry. Thank you.
This may be small, but this was executed in 2005, signed by both Ralph Norrington and Marcelle Norrington, which gifted the family home to me and all its contents. Everything else was to be divided 50-50 with me and my brother, signed by both parents. Sean Tanko drafted a Second Amendment in secret. Oh, and I was the trustee on that document. And Sean Tanko drafted in secret another document removing me as successor trustee and appointing himself successor trustee. And that document,
yeah,
and that document wasn't notarized.
Because he's the acting attorney. Now he wants to be the executor?
He convinced, there's a difference between executor and successor trustee. Executor is actually lower. Successor trustee, he drafted, I have a copy of it, and it's not notarized. So with my mother in
Let me stop you right
yes.
there. Did you go to the bar with this?
I've already filed 2 state bar complaints, which were denied. I filed an attorney general.
Under what grounds?
Under the grounds that this has to be tried in court.
Okay. That's bullshit.
Yes.
Because if
if
they see some type of illegal activity, they're supposed to hold their own hearing on these attorneys, because the buffer of the state bar is supposed to be the buffer between the attorney and the public. That's what they're there for. That's why they're collecting all that money every single year. That's why they get all those grants. That's why they pay employees.
Well, guess what? When Sean Tanko was appointed commissioner, guess who advertised on the state bar website? Guess who said, "Congratulations, Sean Tanko, for being commissioner?" The Nevada State Bar. That's a conflict. You're absolutely right. And I do believe, I don't have any evidence of it, but I do believe that for some reason, I filed 2 complaints with all of these reams of evidence. Both were denied. I also filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office.
Oh,
That-
you're not going to get anywhere with them either.
Well, now you tell me. I filed a complaint with you would help me with the judicial complaint.
Judicial discipline? because
Yes,
he's
I
acting as-
filed it. Still waiting to hear back from that.
Mhm.
And I also sent a letter with evidence to Judge Weiss,
Oh, the chief judge.
Chief Judge Weiss. I did that maybe a month ago.
Weiss.
Weiss, yes, Weiss, the second.
Mhm.
Weiss, yes. I did that a month ago. Haven't heard back.
Yeah, didn't they just switch that though? It's not Weiss anymore. It's
He just got it.
Yeah, he's still.
no, I thought they switched it though.
With who?
Oh shoot. I forget her name now.
No. If you're talking about Bell had it, and then Weiss had it.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
Yeah. Bell is now in the Supreme Court.
So I've tried.
Did you file a complaint with the governor's office?
No, I did not.
You might want to file one with them.
Okay. I'll do that as soon as this interview is over.
But if there's any laws you believe that's violated, and it happened here in Clark County, you probably want to see if the police would, detectives would take a complaint. Because if they take a complaint and the complaint is pushed, then the district attorney has to look into it and move forward.
That reminds me, when I first came to Las Vegas, when I moved back, it was in 2021, just to fight, be here. I had a little sign and I was picketing out in front of Sean Tanko's office. That was before he was commissioner. I had my little sign, had my little trays, I had all my evidence.
By yourself?
By myself, that's right. And he called the
Good for
police
you.
on me.
Of course he did.
Called the police and it took them an hour to come and remove me.
Why was it you were on public sidewalk?
No, he said I was on private in front of his office. It's private.
As long as you're on public sidewalk, it could be in front of his office. As long as you're on public sidewalk, you have a right to protest.
Well, I didn't know any of that. I'm just new to Clark County.
So we protest the family court on public sidewalk.
Well, this was right in front of his office.
Right in front of the family court on public sidewalk.
Okay, but the police came and removed me.
No.
Yes, they did.
If it's a public sidewalk, they cannot remove you. Did you tell them that you're on public sidewalk?
Well, I was told that in front of his office that was private.
No. No. Could be in front of his office as long as you're not in the building. But if that's the public sidewalk, then yeah.
Well,
you don't see him coming out there sweeping the sidewalk, do you? Fixing the sidewalk if it's broken, right? So why should it matter who walks on there? Does he control the population that walks down that sidewalk?
But let me say this.
Do you have to have permission to walk down the sidewalk?
No.
Then why do you need permission to, why were you even being removed because you were protesting? Does that make sense to you?
Of course it makes sense. Of course what you said makes sense to me. But Sean Tanko is very powerful in this city.
Well, if you allow a man to have power, that's how they get powerful.
But I didn't know.
If you fight, you're already down there by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You should have just said, hey, this is a public sidewalk. Bring your sergeant, Mr. Officer. Bring your supervisor down here. This is a public sidewalk.
Okay.
Show me where that this guy owns this sidewalk. If he doesn't own it, he has no right to it. Therefore, he cannot say who is on there and who's not on there.
Okay.
Because is there a toll that people could walk down the sidewalk and pay a toll to pass his office?
I understand what you're saying.
There's no toll, is there?
Hey, don't beat me up. I didn't know.
People walk down my street all the time on the sidewalk in front of my house. Matter of fact, people walk in front of this building right now. I don't own that sidewalk.
Well, Steve's not beating you up.
Yeah.
He's making a specific point to viewers and listeners.
I love that too.
If you are on a public street and somebody doesn't like what you're saying, whatever, it's a public sidewalk. You can do whatever the heck you want.
As long as you ain't blocking traffic or impeding traffic, you're fine.
I get all of that. And I was threatened with getting arrested.
No,
so
they just protested. I mean, look, a few years ago, a bunch of school kids left the school and they all walked down Las Vegas Boulevard without a doggone permit. And the cops did absolutely zero. So you're by yourself and they look at you like, oh, she don't know. I'm just going to intimidate and bully her.
That's exactly.
And that's what cops do. If you don't know the law, they will intimidate and bully you, and they'll come up to you like they know all the law and you don't. And then if you fall for it, then you move. I give you an example. We parked in front of this lot right here, and I didn't move. And I was on the street. I didn't move, and the guy that owns the lot, well, people that was parking heavy material on this lot, which was illegal to begin with, they wanted me to move, and they called the cops. Cops came, constable came, the supervisor for the cops came. I didn't move. You know why? Because I knew the law.
Well,
it wasn't a red zone.
I'm guilty of not knowing the law.
As you got to stand your ground in this place. If you don't stand your ground, people just take advantage of you.
And the reason why I'm laughing, and I'm not making light of the subject, the reason why I'm laughing though is because I look at Steve and the constable comes up, and then I'm like, Steve, let's just move.
He goes, are you ready to go to jail for this? I'm like, yep.
And it was like, okay.
Lock me up. Because you know what? Once they do that, now I have a lawsuit. Right?
Yes.
Now I have a good lawsuit. I'm going to lock me up. Because I'm coming back out suing. Because that's exactly what I was going to do. I already had it in my mind what I was going to do.
I got you.
I was waiting for them to lock me up. Wrongful imprisonment, wrongful detainment.
All right.
I was ready for it.
All right. Well, consider myself educated. Thank you for that.
Go back down there and protest
Don't
again.
think I won't.
And have somebody do a Facebook Live. Don't go there by yourself.
Yeah.
Have somebody videotape while you're protesting.
Okay. Thank
you
for
that. Put it on Facebook Live. Ain't nothing nobody could do about it.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Okay.
Moving on. I got it. I got the message, and I appreciate that. This. When I say he drafted a document, an amendment to the Norrington Trust, removing me as successor trustee and appointing himself, that wasn't the only thing he did. Again, when I talk about my mother and her lack of mental capacity, I have a document here. Because of the pacemaker and just her decisions that she was making, I asked her doctor to give her a psychiatric evaluation in 2007. I don't know if you can see this. In 2007, Marcelle Norrington was diagnosed, Marcelle Norrington was diagnosed with early dementia in 2007. Dementia doesn't get better, gets worse. And I contend that Sean Tanko used undue influence just to gain trust. But this was the Fourth Amendment. This was the last straw. The Fourth Amendment that was drafted a year and a half before my mother died. Mm-hmm. She gifted the family house worth $325,000.
Paid off?
Yes, it was paid off.
Okay.
To her handyman.
Oh, wow. I should have been her handyman.
Drafted by Sean Tanko. Now, there's more than just gifting a family house to a handyman. And he was in my mother's life since, and got closer and closer and more involved in her life. And she trusted him. But I don't know how.
Did you contest that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I contested that for a year and a half with over $120,000 worth of legal fees. And I did get the house back. But
and did you charge them for your legal fees?
That's what I've been trying to do all along, get my legal fees back from Sean Tanko. But let me just back up a little bit.
No, I'm saying, did you file something to get your legal fees back?
No. But
That's what you need to do.
File.
The judge is not going to give your legal fees back on a verbal argument. You have to file a motion to get your legal fees back. And you have to prove up. You have to have all the invoices there and everything.
I've got all that, but I would like to do this with an attorney representing me. I can't find an attorney in Clark County because I keep getting conflict of interest.
I have a few attorneys that probably could help.
Conflict of interest, though. Why are they bringing that
You'd
up?
have to ask them that when I call the attorneys. I probably called over 25 offices.
Could you name some of those law firms you called?
No, but I have them in my notes. No, I don't. I don't have.
Yeah,
them.
I was going to say, I'd like to know.
Yeah,
Just
I
out
get
of
conflict of
general
interest.
curiosity.
$120,000 of legal fees, but that isn't even the kicker. The kicker is, listen to this one. Marcelle Norrington, my mother, didn't even own the house. Sean Tanko misread the Norrington Trust. And at the time when my father died in 2008, the trust was supposed to be divided in half. That's how I got the house back. Well, that's not how I got the house back, but I had an attorney to help me get the house back.
Why is it Sean Tanko? Why is he doing this to your family? It sounds criminal to me.
Sounds criminal?
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to ask Sean Tanko that. I believe it's for monetary gain.
So you haven't filed a police report on him yet, have
No,
you?
I haven't.
Maybe you should do that.
Okay. I'll take whatever suggestions. Listen, it's been 5 years. 5 years. My mother died in 2018. It's 2023.
You have to look at the statute of limitations too and see if the statute of limitations is.
But he still has a portion of the inheritance. There's 4 beneficiaries.
Who has that?
Sean Tanko. He's still holding.
The lawyer has.
Yes.
That was a question I was going to ask.
Yes.
Like, when you said monetary benefit, I'm like, well, how is he benefiting from it, though?
As successor trustee, he charges a fee.
And he granted himself?
Yes.
And he shouldn't charge any legal fees if he's going to grant himself the property.
No. The property wasn't granted to
Or the
Sean
estate.
Tanko. Was granted to the handyman.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Chris
But I'm
Bakke.
talking about anything monetary in there.
Well, he was getting legal fees. Before all of this happened, before my mother's death, he was charging my mother legal fees. He was charging my mother
For what exactly, though?
putting amending the trust. And in fact, listen to this one.
How is he getting paid? Through the bank account?
My mother's writing a check for all of his fees. Oh, you need an attorney for that. He's writing a check. But listen to this one. Sean Tanko tried to cover his rear end. He sent my mother, before she died, to another attorney just to back up, to say, oh yes, I want this house to go to the handyman. Yeah, I'm sane. And that attorney's name is Anthony Barnes. The handyman drove my mother to Anthony Barnes' office.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second attorney that she's signing off. Now, Anthony Barnes says, yes, Marcelle Norrington is sane, but guess what? That document wasn't notarized until after her death.
So the handyman drove. What's the handyman's name?
Chris Bakke, Christian Bakke.
Drove your mother to the attorney so he could be put on the estate to take the house.
He was already put on the estate. Sean Tanko already gifted him. I have let me find it. Let me find it for you.
Looked like a lot of trees got slaughtered.
That's what happens when you retire from being a legal secretary. Anthony Barnes. Amendment. I also have video evidence of my mother. While I'm looking for this, I have video evidence of my mother in 2016. It was Easter, and I wanted to surprise my mother with my brother coming. She hadn't seen him in years, maybe 4 years or so. When she opened the door, she didn't recognize her own son. I'm just saying more evidence. See? Oh, and when Marcelle died, the handyman, Christian Bakke, was also on one of my mother's, the only bank account, which was over $32,000.
Sure, that's gone.
It's gone. It went all to the handyman. And the thing is, I was talking to Sean Tanko, and I was sending him emails, and all along I said, this handyman is awfully close with my mother. Do you question that? I mean, I was questioning it all along, and nothing was ever done about it.
Seems like he was more handy on her finances than anything else.
Get it? And when my mother died, of course, the handyman Chris Bakke had keys to her home. He calls Sean Tanko. He doesn't call the family. He calls Sean Tanko. Let's see.
Do you know if the handyman and this attorney, Commissioner Sean Tanko, have any type of dealings with prior to all this, or
that is
relationship?
A great question. Like that's a great question, which I have not been able to find out.
Maybe you should get yourself a private investigator to find out.
Let's see. What am I looking for? Oh, let me just go back a little bit. When I hired an attorney, Alice Denton, to help me get the house back, of course, Sean Tanko was the alternate commissioner at the time. So he carried a little bit of weight. He's the alternate commissioner. It's a judge that she has to, he's got to make decisions. So he persuaded her. He persuaded her to keep him on as successor trustee because I wanted to have him removed. He wasn't removed. Any questions?
No.
Okay, let me look for this. Petition to assume jurisdiction of trust and remove Sean Tanko. Because I wanted Sean Tanko off as successor trustee, and because I hired an attorney, and because I wasn't just laying down and letting this happen, Sean Tanko deliberately delayed distribution of the trust to the family for over 2 years.
And you didn't file anything with the bar on that?
He always had some reason and some excuse.
Of course he did.
And the other thing, I was also denied when my mother died. The house was locked up. He was a successor trustee. There was a filing cabinet with all of my parents' business files. And I said, I don't want anything touched. I don't want anybody in the house. But Sean Tanko removed that filing cabinet, went through the house before I even got to go into the house.
Who gave him authority to be inside the
He's
house?
a successor trustee.
And who gave him authority to be successor?
He appointed himself.
You can't do that.
But he did. Where's my number
illegal.
One?
And he was the attorney working on the case, correct?
Yes. Let's see, number 8.
Maybe you need to go to the U.S. District Court.
Which one did you need?
Hold on a second.
Have you ever?
Here we go.
Have you ever filed a complaint with the FBI?
No, I have not.
Maybe you should go that route.
Okay, I'm going to write all of this down. FBI. You said governor.
Mm-hmm.
So the third amendment to the Norrington Trust, it's dated, it's exhibit number, do you see that? It's exhibit number 8. It's exhibit number 8, dated May 22nd, 2015. Sean Tanko is the successor trustee. The second is Rebecca Norrington. He appointed himself.
Can't do that.
And the document isn't even notarized.
Even worse.
Why can't I get anybody to...
Maybe you're just not going into the right office.
Okay. Point me in the right office.
That's what I'm doing.
Actually, in this one, it is notarized.
Number, not the number.
Are you looking at
No,
8?
the stamp. It's not notary stamped. Exhibit 8.
Yeah, no, you're right. I apologize. Yeah, that's
Right,
weird. He actually, this is cute, Steve. He actually signed as a notary himself.
You can't
No,
even
wait,
notarize
no, let me
on
say this.
signature.
No, that's his wife that works in the office.
Now, you can't even do that. If you're a notary, you can't notarize family.
And
Especially
that's why light bulbs went off right
Yeah.
away.
That's his wife
You
that
can't do
notarized that. Without the, now, if you look at,
and you're right, there's not a stamp.
yes. And now
I
let's,
apologize.
that's all right. And let's look at exhibit 9.
Okay.
You see exhibit 9, it's the fourth amendment to the trust. Do you see how exhibit 9 has on the left MDN, all of my mother's signatures? And you notice that the third exhibit, the third amendment, there's none of her initials on there. When he appointed himself successor trustee, you notice that there's no initials from Marcelle Norrington on that, pointing him successor. That's exhibit 8.
Right. I'm looking at it.
Left corner bottom.
Right. Yeah, I got the MDM stuff.
That's on exhibit 9.
Right.
You know, you could also file a complaint with the Supreme Court,
U.S. Supreme Court,
Nevada.
Nevada. Okay.
Well, yeah, you want to go with Nevada first, obviously, and they'll go because I'm telling you, like, and I apologize, Stephen. I apologize to everybody that I'm getting kind of into the weeds on stuff, but Steve and I have had several guests on the show that have made complaints about the judiciary in one case or another. I don't think, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think I've ever seen anybody bring this much evidence in.
That's what happens when you're legal secretary. But so this is
sorry, the Secretary of State has a notary. They're the ones that give the notaries out to everybody. If she's signing as a notary and there's no stamp on there, and she's signing when for a husband, which is totally illegal, you need to file a complaint with the Secretary of State Notary Department as well.
I've filed as many complaints as I could, and this is the thing. In 2017, before my mother's death, because I didn't know Sean Tanko was this, I'm going to use the word corrupt, in my opinion, corrupt. This is an email that I'm writing to him. Sean, I don't know if you know how much time my mother has been spending with the handyman, but I'm concerned. Are you aware that Chris is her handyman, has access to her bank accounts? Are you aware that her credit card has been charged on 2 separate occasions, purchased airline tickets to Texas? She said she was going to look into it, but hasn't followed up. I don't have any proof of this. I don't have any evidence that they worked in tandem. I don't have evidence of that. But I never got a response back.
Of course,
but even
sounds like there's a relationship between those
but
two.
even so to get the house back, not only did I have to pay $120,000 to the attorney, Alice Denton, but I had to settle. I had to give the handyman $40,000 to settle. As opposed, in other words, there wasn't a hearing. This was before court, which I did. And all I asked for, and if it wasn't for Sean Tanko, none of this would have happened. I was denied access to even look at the trust documents. I asked for original. I said, give me an original stamp because I could get that forensically tested. Because his excuse is that it wasn't notarized. Oh, I sent out the wrong copies. You're notarized at the at time of signing.
Yeah, and there's like, well, Steve can tell you more about being a notary than me. Because Steve,
I used to be a notary.
yeah, I was gonna say.
You have to also you could also file a federal lawsuit against them.
Find me an attorney that can help me. I'm willing to pay. I can't do it by myself. He's still holding on to our inheritance because he can, because I don't have an attorney.
Okay, well, is he personally holding on to it?
Yes,
or is
because he's a successor trustee.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he's holding on to my family's inheritance.
Okay.
And how long he's been holding on to the inheritance for?
Since 2018.
2018.
I am going to send you the name and number to an attorney.
Yeah.
And make sure you call
Now, you sent me one that never called me back.
him. I did.
Yes,
Never called you back.
I left messages.
No. We'll get it straightened out.
The bottom line is the house should have never, when my father died, the trust should have, according to the instructions of the Norrington Trust, should have been divided in half. My mother did not own the house. That was my father's separate property. I have separate property. She didn't even have the right to gift the house to a handyman. I mean, and I've been collecting all of this. All I need is an attorney that's going to help me.
Right. It's a lot.
It is a lot. Here's the bank account with the handyman's $32,000 gone.
Yeah.
Early dementia. This woman, regardless, I love for her, but she was making bad decision after bad decision. And when Sean Tanko came into the picture,
Yeah.
this is the result.
All right. Well,
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, it's very unfortunate. It's just
I just want justice to be served.
right.
I want him to be exposed. How can somebody? Because this is what I sent to the bar. I allege Sean Tanko legal misconduct, breach of fiduciary duties, not acted in good faith, not been transparent, lack of fiduciary accountability with pertinent Norrington Trust information, used undue influence over Marcelle Norrington for financial gain.
Yeah.
Why can't I expose him? Why isn't justice being served? He's the commissioner now. He's sitting as commissioner in Clark County.
I send the attorney your information, so
Okay.
have them call you instead.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mhm.
And you know what? I do appreciate just having the opportunity to share this and document this. I wouldn't mind if this went viral.
It will.
I mean, nationwide.
It will.
Nationwide.
And the reason why stuff like this doesn't get exposed is because not everybody is as brave as you and are willing to come on and expose it.
I was born on the same day that Rosa Parks refused to sit in the back of the bus. My father, Ralph Norrington, was a fighter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to give up. I will never give up
Good.
until this is exposed. Never.
Because you know what? If you give up on it, that means you're going to let a whole lot of people down that they're going to corrupt on.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even for me personally. And it's not about the money. It's about exposing this man.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This shouldn't happen to anyone else. And if it's 5 years or if it's 50 years, I'm not going to give up.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't give up either. Did we cover everything that you wanted covered, or are we missing anything that you want to bring to light?
The only thing is I'm looking for an attorney to assist me with this, to go after Sean Tanko and expose him.
Okay. And
thank you again for the opportunity.
I send the information and I'll follow up on it. All right. Jim, you have anything else from Ms. Norrington?
No, other than thank you for coming on. And even though this Sean Tanko obviously has done you and your family wrong, I don't think it just stops with him. I think it's a system of corruption that needs to be exposed and fixed. And thank you for coming on and being willing to do that. So I think this individual is obviously a corrupt individual, but it obviously goes deeper than just him.
And thank you for letting me know about I can protest on this. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I wouldn't go by myself. I would have somebody film it.
Yeah.
But I am by myself. I moved here by myself.
Well, you have friends, don't you? How long you been here?
I've been here a year and a half.
Okay. So you have some girlfriends or some guy friends, right?
I can find someone to help me.
Okay. Yeah, have somebody just film it and do a Facebook Live. And if the officers show up, have them film that as well.
Okay.
Okay. Jim, you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
So, Ms. Norrington, Mark is going to zoom in on you, and that your final words, whatever you want to say. If you want to say something to Sean Tanko, or if you want to talk to the people that might be going through the situation, tell them to get wills and live in trusts and all that to avoid all this, or whatever you want to say, whatever you're comfortable with saying. And if you want to give a point of contact, maybe there's people out there like you. Maybe there's people that been in the same situation you've been in, and you probably could do a class action lawsuit. That's always a possibility as well. And whatever you want to do.
You know, I've reached out to a lot of different people asking for help. I even contacted Benjamin Crump's office. I mean, all the way. But what I would like to say, number one, just what you talked about. It's very, very important to have these conversations with your family, have them before anything happens. It's also good to be not in denial of your family members, especially if you get a sense and you don't want to hurt their feelings. But this is really important because this is what it can turn into. And then recommendations and trust. Talk to, if you do find an attorney, talk to some of the clients that attorney's had. Just don't go on a recommendation. Look at look at the Yelp ratings, because that could also be altered. But talk to the clients, more than 5, I would say, because this is a very corrupt, ongoing, and it is a discussion that no one wants to talk about death, and especially parents dying. So I would suggest, and don't give up. If somebody has done it's injustice, don't give up ever. Don't give up.
Well, Ms. Norrington, thank you so much for coming on the program. Really appreciate that you come out here and educating people on this.
And if you want to contact me, my email address, can I do that?
Sure.
My email address is rlnsignature@gmail.com. My initials, rlnsignature@gmail.com.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jim? No? Folks, that was Rebecca L. Norrington, and as you could, listen to her frustration, you have now a probate commissioner who has put himself on her parents' assets, which is a conflict of interest, and he had no authority to do that as far as what she has right here. And she has to go through the legal resources to try to have justice and find this commissioner guilty of what he did, and maybe even do some jail time. But I just want everybody to know that these things do happen, and the best way to get around it is to have a live-in will or a live-in trust, and that way to avoid probate altogether. That way you don't have to get into all these crooked lawyers that are out there that's just trying to, get money for themselves or what have you. And I want to let everybody know this program was brought to you by Ron Quince and Stephanie Phillips, who's running for U.S. Senate. This is Steve Sampson and Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics. Until next time.
That's a show.